Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mike for SimRacing604 and welcome back to Project Cars 2. I wanted to expand a bit on the field of view video I did last time. It was made in somewhat of a rush. My apologies, I had to go out of town, but wanted to get that out and help people enjoy a better field of view. But I was reading some of the comments and there was a request that I dig a little deeper into what exactly the field of view settings mean and what it looks like on the track. So fair enough. So just a bit of history for those that did not watch part one. So I have currently I drive from cockpit view, which I suggest you do as well. Helmet camera would probably be fine as well, and I have it set to 58 degrees, and that is not a random number. Nor is it prescriptive. I don't recommend that you just jump in and do 58. What that is a calculation, a very simple calculation, but we chose that number based on screen size and how far away I sit from my screen. So you're going to likely have a different screen size than I do and sit at a different distance. I use a 40-inch screen sitting at, I think I'm about 32 inches from it. But anyway, if you watch the previous video, part one of this, there's a link in the description to a video, or you can just look up Project Cars Field of View settings. So anyway, I'm 58, so let's get out on the track and take a look at what 58 looks like before we go any further. So as you can see, we've got a nice, can't see all of the wheel, but that's fine. Can't see the side mirrors. So be it, and that's generally the number one complaint I read in the comments when somebody sets up their field of view for the first time, is that they can't see everything they used to see. Most people step into games like this and they set their field of view really wide. They like to see all their mirrors and sort of enjoy the detail of the cockpit. And I get that completely. However, it's not necessarily right. The reason we set up field of view as we do is so you can have a better sort of spatial awareness of your car and make sure that you can hit your apexes and things like that using the correct field of view. If it's too wide, you will not be able to hit your apexes, and too narrow, you'll have a better view of your apexes, but there'll be less a sense of speed, and it looks really funny, and you'll be able to see less objects on the track. So I recommend that you do set it up properly. So anyway, this is what it looks like at 58 degrees, and this is a static view, so we haven't set it to be speed sensitive yet. So luckily, Project Cars 2, something it does very, very well is we have good menu options here in game. So I'm going to go into my camera options and I am going to turn field of view speed sensitivity to yes, meaning that my field of view will adjust as I drive. As I come into a corner at lower speeds, it's going to tighten up and I'll be able to see the inside of the corner better and better hit my apexes. And then when I go down the straight, it's going to pull back. You'll see the camera kind of pull back. I'll be able to see more of the track and get a better sense of speed. That is actually one of the catches about field of view, is that you lose the sense of speed if you're pulled in too tight, and it's very deceptive. Sometimes if you watch some of my earlier videos when I was using a smaller screen, I would have the field of view quite tight and people would say, you know, you're doing 300 kilometers going up Radion at Spa and it looks like you're crawling. Why is that? And that was just my field of view settings. So Project Cars 2 has found a way around that, and so what they've done is field of view speed sensitivity. And so what we have to do is set parameters for the speed sensitivity. But now I've gone ahead and set some parameters already, but I'll get into them in a second. But I just want to give you a quick example of what this looks like. So you'll notice the camera pull back as I speed up, and then as I slow down into the corner, it tightens up. So down the straight here, pulls back. Way back, nice and wide. So I can feel, it feels like I am actually going, how fast am I going here? 250 kilometers an hour. And I'm going to brake into this next corner here, and it's going to tighten right up. And I can see that apex better and drive over the curb as I should. Don't know this car that well, so I apologize for the driving, but we're here to learn about field of view. not record pace at Monza. Anyway, so you can see, based on speed sensitivity, you can see the camera pulling back, and then I brake, and it tightens up, and that is based on parameters we set. So let's go back into the menu here. And right now I have it set to the tightest it will go. Now this is where it gets somewhat tricky, and I don't agree with what Slightly Mad Studios has done here. So it says, according to the description on the right, this option determines the minimum field of view value at slower speeds, excuse me. So I have it set to 80, so technically this should be quite wide, but you saw what it looked like when I was at 58. So let's go back and revisit 58. Okay, so we can see just we can almost see the top of my steering wheel, but not quite, and then we can see the full display on the dash. Alright, and if we go back into the options here and turn this on, so again, according to the description, this should be the minimum field of view set to 80. So if we go back, if that's the minimum, how did it get tighter? That's what I don't get. So could be just some misinterpretation on my part, but either way, if I set it to, excuse me, I did that demonstration wrong. I should go back in. So if I set it to 58, meaning that, again, according to the description on the right, determines the minimum field of view value at slower speeds. So I'm going to take a very slow speed, let's say 1 kilometer an hour, and it should, I would think, be close to 58. But if we go back, how is that 58? I've lost my wheel entirely. I don't see the display on the dash, and the car feels very bumpy. So something happened there, and I don't know what, and I just can't figure out. It's either, again, the wording of the description, or what am I missing here? But you can see they're probably about there. So at 190 kilometers an hour, thereabouts, 180 is my 58 degree field of view. And I don't know exactly how we got to that based on the parameters I set. But let's go back into the options one more time. And so once again, what I found for me, what works is about 80 and about 120, meaning when I'm ripping down a straight, it'll go no wider than 120, and actually I think that's the maximum anyway. Yes, it is. So those are the two settings. We're adjusting the upper and lower bound of how wide the camera will get. Much simpler is the minimum and maximum speed to which it adjusts. So if we set this to, say, well, it's set to 100 right now, meaning that anything below 100 will not change the camera view. Only at 100 will it start to change, and then anything above 220 it won't change, meaning that the panning of the camera right now from 80 degrees to 120 degrees will happen only between the speeds of 100 and 220 kilometers an hour. So let's try that. So let's reduce that to 50. Or 40, whatever. So when I dip below 40, that becomes a static number. So as you can see, it's not panning in or out as I go slower or faster at that speed. Just the car's dipping a bit. But watch, as soon as I cross 40, it should start to pull back. And we'll get a better demonstration of that when I get going straight here. So 40, you can see it start to pull back, pulling back, pulling back, pulling back. And then if we can hit 220 along this straightaway here, you'll see it stops pulling back at 220 kilometers an hour. Still pulling back. And we hit 220 and it becomes static. So that is those speeds. So that's the lower two settings for our field of view. That is setting our range. And what I've done is I set it at 100. It probably could be, for me, closer to 80 or 90. It really depends on the track. What I would suggest is a good idea is kind of find your lowest speed on the track and then your highest speed on the track, and those could be your bounds. I'm still experimenting with it myself. Probably, actually, when I say it, don't maybe go with your maximum speed on the track. Set it maybe a bit below that. So let's say we're going to hit 300 kilometers an hour on this track in this car. I'll set it to 250. There's no point. There's not a lot to be gained between 250 and 300 by making your field of view wider, really. So that is what I would set it at. So again, that means that anything below 90 will have you'll have no adjustment of the camera, no adjustment of field of view, that is, below 90, and no adjustment of field of view above 250. So I hope that kind of makes sense. So effectively what we've done to this point is we've set the lower bound at 80 and the upper bound at 120 for field of view, and those the field of view will change dynamically through that range of 80 to 120 between the speeds of 90 kilometers an hour and 250 kilometers an hour. So I hope that makes sense. I hope this kind of ties things together with the dynamic field of view, and yeah, let me know what you think about this. I'm kind of intrigued by it. It's taking me some getting used to. I haven't done a lot of work with it, but it is very interesting because it takes away a lot of the things people complain about when they set their field of view statically. So that'll do it, guys. Let me know what I'm interpreting wrong about that 58 versus 80, and let me know what you think about the dynamic field of view in the comments. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.